that these topics, inshallah, will be covered in the question and answer time. And I hope you will ask questions, and whatever clarification you require on this topic, I'll try my level best to give you. Now let's analyze. The educational rights given to the woman in Islam. The first 5 verses which were revealed of the Quran Sharif were from Surah Alaq or Surah Iqra, chapter number 96, verse number 1 to 5, which says, Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. Read, recite, or proclaim in the name of thy Lord. Khalaqal insana min alaq, who has created the human beings from a congealed clot of blood, a leech-like substance. Iqra rabbuka al-akram. Read, thy Lord is most bountiful. Alladhi allama bil kalam, who has taught the use of the pen. Allama al-insana ma lam ya'lam, who has taught the human beings that which he knew not. The first guidance given in the Quran Sharif to the humankind was not to pray, was not to fast, was not to give charity, it was read. Islam pays utmost importance to education. The Prophet ordained the parents, the father and the mother, to see to it that they gave religious education to their daughters. And after a lady married, it was the duty of the husband to provide her with the religious education. If he couldn't do it himself, and if she wanted, he should allow her to go somewhere else to acquire the education. According to Sahih Bukhari, the women were very enthusiastic to acquire knowledge, and they once told the Prophet, you are usually surrounded by men. Why don't you give us one particular day so that we too can ask you questions? And the Prophet agreed. Besides he himself going, he sent many other of his Sahabas to the women to give them education. Imagine 1400 years ago, when the women were ill-treated and were only used as chattels, leave aside being educated. Islam asked the women to be educated. We have examples of several Muslim women who are scholars. And the best example I can give you is of Bibi Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her, who was the daughter of Hazrat Abu Bakr, the first Khalifa of Islam, may Allah be pleased with him, and the wife of our beloved Prophet Muhammad, may peace be upon him. She gave guidance even to the Sahabas and to the Khalifas. One of her famous students, Urwa Ibn Azubair, she said that I have not seen a greater scholar than Aisha in the field of learning of the Quran, in obligatory duties, in lawful and unlawful matters, in literature and poetry, in Arab history. She was not only expert in the religious field, she had profound knowledge of medicine. Whenever the foreign delegates came to the Prophet and discussed, she used to memorize the remedies. She was well versed in the field of maths, and many times the companions came to her to ask problems of mirath, that is inheritance, and how much share should be given to each individual. She is said to have guided all the 4 Khalifas, including the companions, and she also gave guidance many a time to Abu Huraira, may Allah be pleased with him. And she herself has narrated 2,210 hadiths. According to Abu Musa, who was a famous jurist, he said that whenever we companions had lack of knowledge on a matter, we went to Hazrat Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her, and definitely she had knowledge about it. She is said to have taught more than 88 scholars. In short, she was a scholar of the scholars. There are several examples. Ibn Safiya, may Allah be pleased with her, was the wife of the Prophet, who was an expert in fiqh, Islamic jurisprudence. And according to Imam an-Nawawi, she was the most intellectual woman of that time. As an example is Salma, may Allah be pleased with her, was the wife of the beloved Prophet. According to Ibn Hajar, she has taught 32 different scholars. There are several examples. Fatima bint Qais, she said to have a discussion on fiqh for a full day with Hazrat Aisha and Hazrat Umar, may Allah be pleased with them both. And still, they could not prove her wrong. According to Imam an-Nawawi, she migrated in the early days and she had profound knowledge. Other examples like Salim, who was the mother of Anas. She is said to be very well versed in the field of dawah. Other examples are Sayyidah Nafisa, who was a granddaughter of Hassan. And she is also said to have taught Imam Shafi, who was the founder of one of the schools of thought. There are several examples. Even al-Darda was the wife of Abu al-Darda. She is said to be an expert in science. And even Imam Bukhari has said that she was an expert in a field. You can give several examples. At a time when the women were ill-treated, at a time when women were buried alive when they were born, at that time Islam had women scholars in the field of medicine, in the field of science, in the field of religion. Because Islam tells that every woman should be educated. Will you call such women's rights in Islam as modernizing or outdated? Let's discuss the legal rights given to a woman in Islam. According to the Islamic law, men and women are equal. The Sharia protects the life and property of a man and woman both. If a man murders a woman, he too will receive the had punishment, that's capital punishment of qisas, according to Surah Baqarah chapter number 2, verse number 178 and 179. He too shall be killed. Likewise, if a woman murders, she too will be killed. According to the Islamic law of qisas, men and women, irrespective the injury be of the eye, of the nose, of the ear, of the body, both receive equal punishment. And if the guardian of the murderer, even if it be a woman, if she says that forgive the murderer and she accepts diya, that's compensation, her opinion cannot be rejected. They have to accept it. And if there's different opinion between the relatives of the person who is murdered, and some say that the murderer should be killed, and some say that he should be forgiven and diya should be accepted, people should prevent the relatives from killing that murderer. And irrespective whether the witness or the opinion is given by man or woman, it has same weight. According to Surah Al-Ma'idah, chapter number 5, verse number 38, it says, as to the thief, whether he be man or a woman, cut off his or her hand as a punishment for his crime, an example from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Means if a person robs, irrespective whether he is a man or a woman, his or her hand should be chopped. The punishment is the same. According to Surah Nur, chapter number 24, verse number 2, it says, if any commits fornication, be it a man or a woman, flog them with 100 stripes. The punishment for fornication in Islam, irrespective whether it's a man or a woman, it's the same, flogging with 100 stripes. The punishment for men and women is the same in Islam. In Islam, a woman is allowed to give witness. Imagine, Islam gave right to a woman